Welcome to the Watching Now podcast from Couch Soup. The crew is back, and this time we're watching Daredevil Born Again, week by week by week by week. There's more episodes than that, but I'm going to stop right there.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
This is the continuation, maybe, or the reboot, maybe, sort of a little bit of both of the Daredevil series from Netflix, now in the MCU. Last time we saw Mr. Murdock, I think he was fighting Echo, was he?
She-Hulk.
Was
No,
that
it was Echo. No,
it was Echo.
Was it Echo?
It was Echo.
True.
It maybe in timeline it was She-Hulk because Echo was in a flashback, but never mind about that. We're in the MCU now. We've got Daredevil, and we're gonna get on with this podcast. We've got 2 episodes to go through, so we've got not a lot of time. So we're just gonna get on with it. I am your host this week, Ian, and today we have Tom.
What's up?
And our newcomer to Watching Now, our friend and soon to be yours, Katie.
Aw, hi.
It sounds like you're trying to auction her off. She's our friend, but she could be yours for the low price of whatever.
That was basically the plot of the version of Oklahoma I saw about 2 years ago.
$1, $1, $1, $1.50.
Do I hear 135, 140? Do I hear 140? 135.
So without further ado, we've got loads to go through. Let's get on to our first section, the non-spoiler overview. Without spoilers, what you thought of the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again?
I'm optimistic about where this is going to go. I like a lot of things. I got some issues with some other things.
Mm-hmm.
My general rule of thumb when it comes to Daredevil is that the 3rd season of the original Daredevil series is like... that was the peak of the show. And this is not... It's not there. But that's not to say it's bad. I just have feelings about certain things.
I'm pretty sure we all know what those feelings are going to be, but...
Well, some of them. But,
yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that's really very good so far. And then there's some other bits and pieces that... There's some lack of cohesion in places that we'll get into properly when we... It's got potential. There you go, that'll put it.
Potential all over this.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. As someone who hasn't seen any of the Netflix stuff because there's too much of it and I'm good.
You shut your filthy mouth!
Yeah, it interested me enough to keep watching.
This is so interesting. Your point of view is going to be so interesting to me because without any of this like grounding that the rest of us have had in it, I want to know how this hit for you, maybe even a little bit more people who are newcomers into the Daredevil universe. But I have interrupted you while I said this is really interesting, so carry on.
I feel like, as Kay said, like there's potential. However, like it did feel disjointed, and I didn't really care too much about what happened to most of the people in the show. I hope that changes as going forward, but as for now, it's fine. It's not my favorite premiere for MCU show, not my least favorite. It's just, yeah, fine.
Cool.
Very cool. Cool.
I guess.
What's that about, mate?
I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. But for me, this was a good tone setter of where a Disney Plus version of the Netflix grittiness could go. Like, this is by far the most violent thing in a Disney Plus MCU show that we've seen. I'm just pausing just while Tom thinks.
No, because is it more violent than U.S. Agent decapitating a dude with Captain America's shield?
I don't know. That they were pretty brutal opening. We'll get to that, but it was pretty brutal that opening. It gave me enough of the Netflix show feeling without being all the way Netflixy. It's like it's evolved into an MCU version of itself, but not too watered down. I liked it as a tone setter. I want to see if it's going to carry on this tone or it's going to get too CGI villainy at the end, like we always get, you know?
Please don't. Please don't manifest that.
You
How
know,
would they even do a CGI villain with this?
well, we don't know yet, Tom. So, we don't know who the villain. Well, we know who the villain is, but there could be sub-villains where there are CGI villainous.
That's not true! That's improbable!
I think we better go on to the spoilers because there's a lot to talk about. This is the spoilers, but so if you haven't seen the first two episodes, go away. We'll come back because I like you. Don't go away, please.
That's a bit desperate there.
I am desperate. I'm a desperate, desperate man, Tom. Should we get into it? We may as well start with the very beginning. What a beautiful place to start.
A very good place to start.
Went for the Sound of Music. Did you get that?
No, I got it. It was
Yeah,
good.
thanks. Thank you. The start, while upsetting, was also excellently done, I thought. I think we need to pass it over to Katie for her funeral for Foggy Nelson.
Yeah, I'm really upset. Like, okay, here's the thing. In the weeks coming up to this, they started being like quotes from Charlie and I can't remember the guy whose show already did. Is his name Dario? Is that his name? Saying things like, "Oh, we did something in the show. I think some people are really going to hate it," and all this sort of stuff. Like, truly, about a week beforehand, I was like, "Oh fuck, they're killing Foggy." Like, I knew, and I know that I happen to know that that killing Foggy is a thing that has happened in the comics in various different forms, but also Foggy's been brought back in various different forms. So I'm going to live in denial for the next couple of years.
Katie's huffing some copium, Tom.
I am. Like, you can't take this away from me. I sat there, like, so that opening sequence didn't affect me as much as it might have if it had been a complete surprise, mostly because I was anticipating it, and also because I'm pretending that we're going to get resolution at some point to it. Also, at the moment, it's kind of weird in the context of the rest of the story, because there's not really any, like, why as to why it happened.
Oh, I just thought this was a run over from the series 3 where.
But here's the thing, because I haven't, admittedly, it's been a minute since I watched the end of series thing, but I did look it up the other day, and I can't really see why him going after Foggy doesn't feel like it's about Foggy. It feels like it's about Matt, and I don't see why he'd be going after Matt, because Matt was the one who alerted him to what happened to the woman that he was in love with. Like the Fisk killed his, like, it wasn't his girlfriend, but like he thought of her as his girlfriend. So at the moment I don't see why this has occurred. The stuff when it comes to Karen, Foggy, this little bit at the beginning, feels a little bit too disconnected from what they clearly already had as a basis. And I'm hoping that this will get better with time. But also I'm a bit annoyed that I'm feeling like I have to wait until season 2 comes out to feel like this whole thing is going to become cohesive again.
I did some digging after the fact, 'cause I also felt it was really disjointed, because like it happens and they just like don't really mention it.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the reshoots they did.
Watching these 2 episodes, and especially knowing that there's reshoots, you can tell where they've added stuff in and where the like original basis of the series like exists, because it's like it really does feel like they stitched it on, and I think they did like an admirable job, considering they weren't going to reshoot the entire thing that they'd already shot in order to put all this other stuff in, right? But
It is noticeable.
It's noticeable. It's like looking at a third arm.
What? Where's that mole? I didn't see one.
You can see all of the sort of gross stitching, and
Yeah.
it's like, I guess it works, but like, it's kind of ugly looking.
So we all think then there was the reaction that Foggy and Karen were not in it in the first place when originally there was
Which
a
was a dumb
reaction.
choice.
Yeah, which was a dumb choice. And so they went, actually, they are going to be in it. but like we're
First
gonna kill
15
him
minutes,
off.
and we're gonna kill Foggy immediately.
Yeah. We've got to this point, and I've not explained what happened.
Mm.
Poindexter slash Bullseye, this version of Bullseye, not the Colin Farrell Bullseye, this version of Bullseye, snipes Foggy through the chest. He dead, Karen crying, lots of fighty fight, which is a very good and well shot scene. It was a classic Daredevil fight sequence with a one shot. Maybe some of the choreography was a little bit off,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I have some thoughts about it. More thoughts about it, because it's like the one shots in the original show, the original show, are iconic and became more and more complex as they went on. Again, season 3 has, I did like on a technical level is one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. I'm all good to swear properly on here, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Good. Okay. I could see what they were going for. I don't like the use of VFX that they had in it. I felt like it just didn't look good. You know, the bit with him swinging onto the fire escape right at the beginning of it, just
that was
that's
shit.
so
Yeah, that was bad. I forgot. I blanked that bit out of my brain. It was just
like
a fight
anything
sequence,
that felt like, you know, all of that VFX stuff. It was like, oh, that's not Daredevil, man. That's not how this should be. But the like actual fight stuff and the acting that went into it, and one of my main notes, as I sent to you guys before, Charlie Cox was fucking built to play this role.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he's back. That moment on the rooftop between him and Bullseye, after he stops hearing Foggy's heartbeat and he like lets out that scream.
Yeah.
I love, so good. It was really good.
We got a vigilante who's in pain and tried to kill someone. Don't get that a lot in MCU for the good guys.
Yeah, pretty big thing for Matt. That further on, one of the other things I need improving upon when it comes to this season, feel like that's not had enough of an impact on Matt. And I told you when we were starting this, I'm like, my main thing coming in here is to give the Catholics a perspective. And it's not been Catholic enough yet. There's not enough guilt in my man, Matt Murdock.
We did have a year skip. I'm not.
Still,
I mean, we haven't seen it, but the year skip to me tells me that he's still grieving, and yeah.
I reckon we probably won't see much of how he dealt with it this season, because I think it's again another casualty of reshoots. Maybe like a flashback or two, but I think they'll go, okay, in season 2 we'll delve way back into it, and then they'll explain blah blah blah. Well, that's like my sort of like worst case.
My hope is that they'll get a bit of it in season 1, because if I remember correctly, because the reshoots happened because they hit the writer's strike, and then the actor's strike, so the thing shut down, and then there was a massive reshuffle, basically, of like, this kind of isn't working. I think the higher ups at Marvel were kind of looking at it going, this isn't right, so they got rid of the original showrunners and they brought in the guy who's showrunning it now, to kind of re-steer the ship, and that's when we got the added. He wrote 2 new episodes, I think, and like added some stuff in. But I think at the time they'd only shot 4 episodes, so there's sort of plenty there to adjust. I just feel like there's room for it to for them to make it a bit more cohesive as they go on. But like, again, honestly, it's hard to tell at this point. It is interesting. I would like to hear your thoughts a bit more on this, Tom, as somebody who hasn't seen the original show, because for me, one of the things I loved about the original show is how they portrayed Matt's faith. And to me, somebody who's as Catholic as Matt is, who lives in a state of constant guilt, and like his whole thing was this sort of jutting up against himself of being like, I think they kind of poke at it a little bit in the first couple of episodes, but he was like always at war with himself because he's incredibly violent. But like, I mean, the entirety of season 3 was Matt sort of like struggle with himself of being like, I'm going to kill this man and it will ruin me.
Into a bagel.
That's the line I won't cross. And I totally buy into him deciding in that moment that Foggy would be the reason that he'd kill a man. totally buy into that. I just think that there should be more struggle. And I guess there's like a tiny bit of it. There's the scene at the church.
Where he just goes and stares at it.
But he's also listening to the sermon where it's like it says something about like it not being allowed under God's roof. So he's like purposely distancing himself because I think he doesn't feel like he has the right to be able to enter the church. It's something missing in the text for me at the moment. It's not hitting the same way.
Well, to be fair, if you hadn't sent the message of you're going to rate Matt's Catholicism, whatever, I wouldn't have guessed it. I would have just thought, oh, he's going to a church because maybe that's where they held the ceremony for Foggy or something. I didn't, like, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to, like, the subtext of the entire thing, but I didn't really get, like, that he was so involved in it, that, like, he's had that whole inner conflict. But then again, that could also be most likely because I haven't got his whole backstory, because I'm assuming a lot of the stuff in these episodes are, like, there's, like, callbacks. So I kept hearing a bunch of names. I'm like, oh, that's a name, and I'm assuming if I watched the stuff, there would be a reaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really get much of inkling that's what he goes through. Although speaking of as a newcomer, when Foggy died, my instant reaction was like, oh no. Okay.
Oh no. Anyway,
he's dead, I guess. I didn't really have any sort of
It is a wild choice to do that within the first 15 minutes of the first episode. I can see what they're going for, but I think it has that effect on people who haven't seen, where they're just sort of like, why do I care about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except that he was in the Mighty Ducks and he was a Bash brother, so.
Yeah, I
haven't watched that either.
Elden's
for fuck's sake, Tom.
He was in one episode of Psych where he was the bad guy.
I like the intro, their first bit when they're walking together. Like I got obviously the impression like they are good friends. They do the thing together. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, I didn't really feel anything besides he's dead now. Cool, he could maybe come back, maybe, but like
so we can still win.
You keep pushing that copium, guys.
I'm not saying he is going to come back. I'm saying he maybe. I don't fucking know.
Where do we want to go to next? Do we go to Big Man Kingpin, Wilson Fisk?
We can do. You know, it was funny. I've not written a single note about Fisk.
What? What?
I've not written any notes. I've not written a single note about Fisk.
I do have a few questions about Fisk because maybe I've forgotten. When did he get shot in the eye?
Echo.
Echo
shot him in Hawkeye, and then he had the eye patch in Echo.
And then she did the mind zappy thingamajiggy, and that's why he's a bit stuttery now.
Now he's born again, because this is about Kingpin. It's not about Daredevil. He's a born again guy, and he wants to just do right by the city. You know?
If you weren't in the UK, I'd slap you for that. Because I had forgotten, because I'm like, did he get shot in the face? Did he not? And then I just couldn't be bothered going back to look up. Fisk and specifically his interactions with Matt were kind of like my favorite parts. Because everything else just felt like he's like going into Mayor and all this sort of stuff. It kind of felt like a giant side quest, just like for Fisk. Like, I feel like if you tone down the Fisk stuff a little bit and focus more on Matt, that's where we could have gotten more of the deep dive into like how is he dealing with shit and how is he moving on, instead of just focusing on Fisk a bit much, where it's just like, I guess, his rise through politics. Not that I didn't like it, but I feel like it was maybe a bit too
grumpy,
lopsided in the first two episodes a little bit.
I don't disagree with you there, to be honest. Something I've put in my notes, it wasn't specifically about Fisk, but it feels like it's contextual to like what they're setting up in the season, is that my main thing is that I can't figure out what the show is trying to say about the police. It feels like it's trying to say about 3 different things at once.
Yeah, I've got stuff about
like
police later.
Police good guy, police corrupt, police maybe want to change.
And it doesn't seem to have an opinion on it, which is
it doesn't pick a lane.
fucking me off.
I want to come back to the police
Okay.
because they have a theory. I want to stay on Fix for a second because you are right, Tom. The the little the cafe scene with Matt and Wilson was like just it was just fraught with tension. It's exactly what I loved about the Netflix shows. They're not banter. They're sort of like veiled threats against each other throughout it with and still having respect for each other. It's just brilliant. I love those moments with those two. It's going to be interesting to see what tips Matt into a point where he has to come back as the devil rather than just Matt being Matt, but also kind of a kung fu artist, you know?
Sure. I was going to say, do you not think we've hit that yet?
No,
Okay.
he does not want to. He does not want to
He
put that
doesn't.
suit
It's
on.
true. He doesn't want to do that.
I mean, he kind of did fuck up that one guy's arm a bit at the end, so maybe
That
he is back
I'm
now?
not. I'm not going to lie. I genuinely, I audibly went, oof. That was some good sound divine.
It was the slow, like, look, the feeling of slow-mo of it, where you could just see, like,
It's just like, ow. It's just
Yeah.
like very visceral. I believe they didn't have the same fight choreographer for this first season, but they've brought back the old fight choreographer for the second season that's now shooting. So I think the fights are going to get better later, when we get into season 2, which again, I'm still annoyed that I kind of have to feel like I have to look forward to a second season of a thing as opposed to just like enjoying the thing that's in front of me.
like, in these first few episodes, my big problem with the fights, because I was just like, they felt to me very slow. Like, because I'm hearing the stuff about Daredevil, like, oh, the fight scenes are going to be great. It's going to be like really a bam, 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 punch, punch, punch. But then the first one and the last one, like episode 1, episode 2, I'm like, this just kind of feels like an average action show. Like, I didn't feel like it was like excellent. Like, it was cool, don't get me wrong, but like, I'm like, I've seen better things. And it's like the punches and stuff. I'm assuming it's either stylistically they went for the slower approach, where it was like, yeah, oh, we're so tired, yeah, huh. Or it was just not as good choreography as I was expecting.
I do think
Specifically,
choreography is a little bit not quite as good, but I also don't think they're shooting them nearly as well either. Like I watched
that was the other thing.
If you watch that final fight scene from episode 2, compared to something that they shot in the original Daredevil series, there's so much cutting. Like you can't track the action particularly well. So there's just like there was a slight downgrade in the shooting of the fights, which is annoying because the cinematography in like basically the entire rest of the show so far has been gorgeous. The little moment in that first 15 minutes when you see Matt tune into Foggy's conversation outside and the little bokeh
aspect ratio
spot but there's also the little bokeh shot goes from where Matt's ear is and then the aspect ratio changes and it moves to where Foggy is, so you can see exactly where like what you're meant to be paying attention to and then what he's then paying attention to. It was just very sweet.
All right, we've gone off Fisk. I feel like we're going to get a slap in the face by Lily for not talking about him enough. But Vincent D'Onofrio, great. I'm glad he's back.
Here's the thing: I don't really have that much to say about Fisk at this point, especially after because if you've come from the original show, you've had a lot of Fisk already. I feel like at the moment I'm not really seeing anything entirely new, other than Vincent D'Onofrio kind of killing it,
being amazing
as he usually is. But it's also like Fisk is not my focus when it comes into this show. He's never been my focus. I love Matt as a character, and I love the characters that exist around Matt. So right now, I'm like, I understand what they're doing, but it's just like that's not my focus.
You stay focused.
I agree. Vincent D'Onofrio, really good job. Really like it. But yeah, it's similar to how you mentioned the police being like they don't know what to say.
Right.
I feel like that's also a thing at this point. It feels like they don't know what they want to do with Fisk. Because on one hand, repair marriage, he wants to be a good family man. Other hand, he's a changed man. He wants to be good for a mayor, and then he blackmails the police chief. I get it that he's still a bad guy, but like
he's not a family man. He just loves Vanessa. That's all it is.
I will not lie to you. That very first Vanessa that he did, I did a mini cheer.
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
But the point I was trying to make,
Yeah, go on.
none of it feels like connected. It doesn't all feel like the same character. It seems every time we see him, he's a different character almost.
That's interesting.
At least to me, it just felt like he just kind of swapped in between different personalities a little bit. Whenever the show needed him to be something.
I think that's Kingpin.
Because for Fisk as a character, generally speaking, he has always been the guy who like genuinely feels like he is the thing that can solve all the problems. Like he's like I'm the guy who understands the city better than anybody else, which is like the entire motivation for him coming mayor. He's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be mayor. I can fix everything. I know this city better than everybody. He's like, there's an ego to him that is very evident. And then there's obviously all of the parallels to Trump that they're being entirely unsubtle about. Fisk is not an idiot.
He is not.
So the parallels start wearing a little thin for me at that point, because I'm like, this is a man who, honestly, if it weren't for the fact that he has this, like, I think that scene where he blackmails the police commissioner is just like showing that this is still Fisk. He's still he's not a good guy at this point.
They showed that a little bit earlier, but in a really subtle way, with focusing on his knuckles being very bloody at one point.
Was that him killing the fling with his wife?
I don't think so.
I don't know. They don't really sort of telegraph what that was about, other than like he's clearly been hitting something.
Yeah.
But like it could be about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the guy who's been stripping his wife, but it might just be a wall that he's put a massive hole in. So coming back to the police, right? You mentioned that you don't know if they're good, you don't know if they're bad, but they could be good or they could be something in between.
But I don't think that. I think at this point they've already shown that they're not good. It's
Well,
just
I think they are. Okay. Ooh, here we go. This is going to be
no. Here's the thing: you can't say that they're good at this point when they literally beat up a man in.
But who is that man, Katie?
I know
who is that man.
It doesn't matter. You can't. The police cannot be beating up with anybody in custody. That's kind of like the whole thing. Like, be all and end all. You can't beat up suspects in custody. Like, that's just... No, you can't. That's police brutality.
And you also can't go out of your way to kill the witness, so then you can forcibly put away someone for fine. Framing for murder.
But that guy's a bad guy. The witness is a bad guy. We're well agreed on that, right?
But, like, I don't think any of it matters.
No, the white tiger aside, the white tiger aside, that guy, the witness, the guy that White Tiger was trying to save in the first place, he's a bad guy, right? We all agreed with that.
I don't know who he is.
Well, those police officers that Matt killed at the end had a Punisher tattoo.
Yeah, I don't think that means anything.
Oh, I do.
Well, no, I mean, obviously it means something, but, like, I don't think it means anything to say, like, specifically good guy, bad guy, because, I mean, there's real life, like, what's the word? Parallels to draw there with the cops being like, oh, the Punisher's our hero, and I'm like, the Punisher would fucking hate you guys.
Yeah.
This is like that was like the whole discourse around like cops using the Punisher as like a symbol for them, as like where it's like, you guys fundamentally don't understand who Frank Castle
Punisher
is as a character.
But on that Punisher logo, because I looked at it and then I saw like screenshots of it. It's not fully the Punisher logo; it's the Punisher logo, but with like the American flag on his the skull,
which is very telling.
So I don't think it means that the witness Mickey, he's the bad guy. It could be they assumed he was because he wasn't white, and they went, "Oh, you're a random minority in a train station. Oh, you're selling drugs. Oh, we're gonna beat you up. We're the cops. We're the good guys. You're evil."
Hey, Jax is trying to escape. Stop resisting! Back up now!
And then it just
like,
kind of.
I'm
snowballs.
fully with you. It does feel like a lot of setup for police brutality.
Because it just would track, especially with how they've set up like the Fisk-Trump parallel, and with everything going on in the States, it just seems like the easy like next step to take for like their symbolism to be like, hey, so we've got our Trump figure or political figure who is radicalizing a portion of the community. and then you have the police force, members of the police force who think, yeah, right, we have the power, we must save them. We can't rely on the vigilantes. The police have to do this. We have to go out of our way, and that's where I think that would go. So I don't think they'll demonize the entire police force, but they'll be like,
On the lighter side of things, I like Michael Gaston. Michael Gaston's great as the police commissioner.
Yeah, I mean, he's always a great.
He's
like,
great. He's just a great guy. I mean, he always plays a dick, but like he's
yeah,
just
no,
a
that's
great
the
guy.
thing. He's absolutely one of those actors that pops up and things and goes, "You're a bad guy."
Hmm.
Every time.
Pretty much.
You are a bad guy.
Yep. Prison Break, bad guy.
There's a very weird guy in The
Nikita,
Leftovers.
bad guy.
Who's not like bad, but he's not good either.
I heard Disney, and then there was I heard Gaston in my head, so I was like,
Yeah,
is he,
you went Beauty and the Beast, didn't you? Yeah.
yeah, I just got like he's strong like Gaston and Buffalo. I'm like, what the fuck?
No one's got us well cleft in his jib like Gaston.
I think the dialogue so far is good, but the first episode had a lot of very classic exposition like issues, just generally speaking, that made me roll my eyes a lot. Oh, we need to catch some people up on like character dynamics, so we're going to kind of put a voice to it as opposed to just letting the characters exist in proximity to each other. You know, it's just lazy writing. It pisses me off every time it happens, but it happens. C'est la vie.
One of my notes is Matt's still a hoe, yo.
Yes! An important part of his character. Matthew Murdock is a slut.
Yeah. Matt's still a hoe, yo.
That's another thing where to me that came a bit out of left field.
No,
because like
Matt's
you have
slut is very, very set up.
Just because in the context of that first episode, you know, best friend dies, his other friend leaves him. He's going like this, like, oh my god, my life shit. Hello, let's fuck. And it just sort of like,
yeah, that's Matt.
Like,
That's Matt.
is that just the thing? Because
Yeah,
it just felt
Matt-
very much just like bang.
Matt's
No,
a hoe.
absolutely. Matt is a huge slut.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bangity bang, I said a bang, bang, bangity bang.
Like he's already got it off with She-Hulk in the MCU, you know, done the walk of shame. He tried in a very inappropriate moment, almost tried to get with Karen again just after the
that was
hearing.
weird.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that was weird. Well, I was thinking even in the bit in the bar, the fact that he was flirting with her then was also weird. They kind of already established that they weren't good together.
Yep.
So the fact that they were kind of like poking at each other, I was like, what the fuck is this? Where's this coming from?
Because Matt's a hoe.
It's Matt Aho, it's true. He's a slut, and I love him for it. One of my favourite things about him. Look, he's not
I'd
very...
be much happier if the psychologist woman who is going to stick around because now she's the marriage counselor for the Fisks, which is like that's an eye-rolly moment for me because like
I was like,
that's a bit coincidental. But
I reckon she's dead then.
no, not yet. Maybe later.
Shit, I don't see her living.
Not by the end of the
good.
series. Yeah.
well, it's like, you know,
No, but like it's just it's in Fisk's character. Anyone who knows more about him than they should.
I know, it's more the thing of like bringing in quite an interesting female character into the show, and then who is then a long interest to our main male character, and then killing her off. That's very much fridging.
Well, maybe, but Matt's a hoyo. He just gets around, you know.
You don't have to... Shame on you! Shame, you!
I feel like there's an easy way to fix that is just not make her a love interest.
Mm-hmm.
Like after have the coffee shop, and then they just become like trauma friend.
Do you know
like
what was
trauma
really
friend?
funny?
Yeah.
Really funny. When it got to that scene and she was like, I'm a therapist, I went, oh my god, she set him up with a therapist. As in, like, he needs therapy.
I thought that.
And then they were like, oh, they're trying to set us up on a date. I went, I didn't think that was where this was going at all. But
You know,
okay.
I thought it was just she was just trying to set him up with therapy as well. That's what I thought.
But then, oh no, what if she was and then they
and then they just took it the wrong way, you know.
completely took it the wrong way? Because the man does need therapy. Nobody needs
I hope
therapy more than Matthew Murdock.
See, that's where I would have thought, like, yeah, instead of having like, oh, they're gonna get it together in a relationship, just like quite literally just be like become besties again. Like give him a new bestie, not another person to fall in love with.
Nobody can replace Foggy though.
And
Well, it
Matt
would be
can't
replacing-
Matt can't be friends with a girl. It's just
Also, that is the trouble with Matt. He really can't help himself. very early in season 1 where Matt is flirting with somebody and Foggy makes a comment about how he somehow manages to gravitate towards the most beautiful woman in the room every time, despite the fact that he can't see them. He's like, I don't understand it. It's magic, dude. How do you do that? Matt's just there like,
Speaking of like the psychologist, and then like I'm assuming a group of new side characters, like his partner at the law firm and
yep, she's new.
Your ex-police detective person.
Yep,
Yeah,
he's also new.
I kind of don't care about any of them.
I'm not.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it. Even as someone who is new to this, from the 10 minutes I saw of like the old trio,
yeah,
it just felt like they're like replacing them in a way. And like if I can get that from not really having watched anything, I can only imagine it's like more apparent to you guys who do know. They're like you swapped an apple for an orange right there.
I like the new characters, but it feels really weird that Matt's actual support system is gone, but all of Matt's villains have stayed around. So, like, you don't really have, like, Matt within context of the people that he actually cares about doesn't really exist, compared to Matt in the context of all the villains that have come before him very much exist. So it's just a weird balance. I know who Matt is in the context of these, like, Fisk, and I know who he is in the context of Bullseye, and will know who he is in the context of some other people who will be turning up later. But you've taken away Karen and Foggy, who kind of make Matt who he is. They're like really important to who he is as a character. And now that they're not there, sure, there's some really interesting new people in it, and I'm like, I like you enough, but you're not. I don't really care about what your relationship is to Matt at this point. We're early, so I'm trying not to judge too hard.
The other character that is filling a void for like Karen's position in season 2 and season 3, and Ben Urich's position in season 1. It's his niece, BB Uric, the podcaster / woman who weasels away to an interview with Fisk, which is basically her just narking on the police people and then not getting anything back in return. She is the niece of a character from the first series who died. Did Kingpin kill him?
Kingpin killed him, which is why that scene was so diabolical, because he's sitting there like, I knew your uncle. It's like, yeah, you fucking did. You murdered him. And it wasn't like he got somebody else to kill him for him. He killed him. So
I didn't remember exactly how he died, but I remember he died.
Uric in the first season was kind of he was the one who put together that Fisk was kind of running everything in the criminal underworld. But so the fact that he sat right opposite his niece and just went, yes, I knew your uncle. He was,
good man.
He was a good man, and I'm like,
yeah,
bitch,
and I killed him.
Bitch.
In the second and third series, Karen becomes that investigator person.
Yes, because she sort of
she worked under Ben as well.
Yeah, she kind of becomes investigative journalist character.
So she leaves. Ben's gone. BB's sort of there. I'm sure they'll not get together. Matt's not that much of a hoe.
No, she's
too young for him. I mean,
if that happened, you get bombastic side eye of like, excuse me.
I know she's not, but she reads like a teenager.
No, I think
sounds
she's
like a teenager.
And she's probably like early 20s. I'm probably like aging her far too young, but like she's still too young for Matt.
Yeah, definitely.
But even if she's, I'll say even if you like age her too young, it still would look weird and feel weird if you did.
Yeah,
regardless.
It would have an ick factor, you know.
They wouldn't do that. Matt would never do that. He may be a slut, but he's not that kind of. He's not like he's respectful. You know, he's a good man.
He's a respectful slut.
Absolutely.
The only thing that I've got left on my list we haven't talked about is White Tiger. I haven't got a lot to say about him.
We don't know much about him yet. Although that scene in the judge's office where Matt very seriously has to say that he didn't have his magical amulet on him fucking killed me.
Magical amulet, yes.
I liked the prosecutor's response to that. Just like, are you fucking kidding? Really?
Like, seriously?
That's your defense?
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
You know, he's just a regular dude without a magical amulet. You know,
He didn't have his costume on. He didn't have his amulet. He didn't have his powers. It's fine.
Yeah. Because that's the actor who died as well, isn't it? Before the
Camar de los Reyes.
Yes. So it's sad. I don't
He's
think
fantastic so far.
Yeah, he's been good. I think he's going to be an antagonist by the end of it.
I think because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, White Tiger, and I just Googled it. Apparently, he's like the first, and there's multiple after him of like his relatives. I have a feeling Matt's not going to win the case, and then it's going to be like a whole like, oh, he gets put away for life or the death penalty or something, and then the White Tiger mantle will be passed on to someone else.
From what I've not done any like digging into it, but I've heard talk of a very specific comic run that's like set in a prison, which seems to be very closely related to White Tiger, and also has like ties to Foggy coming back. So I'm just saying, there's precedent.
Okay.
But I feel like if they do a prison subplot as well as the Fisk Mayor and Matt everything, I feel that might be running the risk of being too bloated, especially if they do the Disney Plus thing of gradually shorter episodes. It'd be interesting doing everyone to like have his whole arc in a prison, and
I think you could run it alongside, even in like little bits, and not make it too intense. I don't know. Kind of depends on how much like focus they're going to take away from Matt. Sure, this is our main character, but we're going to focus on like everybody else more than the guy that you're actually here to see.
And then like the final episode, you'll get the big thing, main character, he's back, blah blah blah, and then end.
My only other point I've got written down was the scene after Poindexter's sentencing, where you've got Matt and Karen like talking to each other. That was the only moment in the episode that got me genuinely tearing up. Like, I think that like that was such an encapsulation of that entire relationship, and there was a part like it was the first thing that made me genuinely feel like, oh god, Foggy's gone, like, you know. That, and I think they were both so good in that scene in particular, and I missed them. And I think we're getting more Karen in this season, so hopefully we won't be completely bereft of that relationship going forward. But like, yeah, I missed them.
The two cops at the end, did Matt kill them, or did he just beat them up really badly?
Huge thought. I did sit there and go, Matt, those people look dead.
They did look dead.
It was the punch on the last guy where his neck went bang. I'm like,
hit the floor really hard.
And
I was like,
the sound effect. I'm like, was that saying his neck snapped? Like, is he fucked?
This is a big thing for me, because if he has just killed them, those are the first people that Matt have killed, and if that is true, there needs to be an impact on him. Otherwise, I am gonna call bullshit. That will just be completely antithetical to who Matt is as a person if it has no effect on him.
He did scream again.
Yeah, but that's not enough.
Yeah,
it would have to ruin his life.
Which we're not going to get. We're not going to get ruin my life in 6 episodes, 7 episodes left, with like a satisfactory conclusion to a season.
So I'm hoping they're not dead.
But it looked really bad.
It looked real bad. To be fair, he has beat people up in a way that looked really bad a lot of times before as well. Though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, just because like I think the first guy who had the arm go snap, I think he's alive because he just kind of got knocked around and like his arm's fucked for life, but like he's not dead. But yeah, the main cop who had the tattoo, I'm like, oh, you're fucking dead, mate.
Woo, you know you did. When people do comparisons between DC and Marvel, Daredevil's Batman. Basically, he is essentially like the equivalent. Is close to the equivalent as you could get. In terms of vibe, I know he's not like 1-to-1 equivalent, but like that thing of like, I will beat people to fucking high heaven and back, but he
won't send them to Jesus.
Exactly. No. That's kind of Matt's very much on that line, but that line for Matt comes from his faith, which is why the whole Catholicism thing's kind of huge. Like, there's a reason that he's the devil. There's a lot of talk about him letting the devil out. I know you said you don't want to watch the entirety of this show, which is insane to me. There's 13. There's 3 seasons. There's 13 episodes each season. It's not that hard.
But it's like an hour plus each, and that's like 39
They're really
hours.
Not.
That's a lot of TV, my guy.
Yeah, but it's really good TV.
It is.
And like my point is, even if you don't watch any of the rest of it, the opening scene to the first episode will give you everything you need to know about Matt as a character.
2 quick fire things. Opening credits, fan-fucking-tastic.
Yes, they kept the main title theme.
They kept most of the main title. They remixed it a little bit, and it was very good. I liked the opening credits. And the only stupid thing that else that I want to say is the book that his new girlfriend wrote is called Live Without Fear, and that is just too much on the nose for the man without fear.
The man with I got that too.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too on the nose.
I was like, guys, you can't.
Yeah, but that is the spoiler review, guys. So I think we should probably go on to our episode rankings.
I'm tossing up because on one hand, I was leaning towards like 7 because it was fine, nothing terribly offensive, but like to me, it didn't do anything excellent aside from the Matt Fisk talk in the diner. Like that was like my favorite bit. So I'll give the benefit of the doubt now and say these first 2 episodes 7, just because that I really like that scene, and overall it was fine to good. But yeah, I feel like I could go either way. Like if it starts going like doing better and like there's more excellent moments, sure. But at this point, yeah, it's sort of like the 7, but like low 7. Like it could slip easily down.
I think because I don't think I'm that low, and I think that comes from the fact that I have like more history with the character. So my instinct was 7.5 for the first episode, 8 for the second, because I think the second episode is much more cohesive, and I think that just comes from the fact that it was clearly like it was like that episode doesn't feel like it was touched nearly as much when it comes to like the stuff they've clearly tacked on. Yeah, 7.5, 8, with optimism for the future, but also
fear,
care. Like, you know,
we ain't the man without fear here. We got
I have a bit of fear.
We got some fear. Yeah, I'm in the same sort of area. I'm probably more of an 8 than a 7.5. It was a good tone setter. I want it to be similar, if not better, towards the violence, the guilt.
I need more guilt.
We're going to be in this period in the next couple of months where we're going to get adult versions of shows in good franchises, like Andor's coming back, and you know it's. I just can't wait for that. So if we can get like a revival of Daredevil on the level just below the level of Daredevil Netflix, I'm going to be happy as Larry. And I think that it just hit that bar today over this week. So I've got optimism, but cautious optimism.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like an 8 is about fine. It's about fine. I hope they don't stuff too much into this series because it's gonna, for such as like a fairly slow couple of episodes, they've set up quite a few threads to tie up at the end already in 7 more episodes.
Well, they've also already confirmed season 2. So
yeah. Well,
maybe
they commissioned 19 episodes like off the bat.
So most likely they'll be like next season. It will be like what 10, and then yeah, I would not expect everything to be wrapped up by the end of this.
No,
we've got things we know are coming up, right? Because Frank will be back. We are getting the Punisher later on in the season. I don't know if it'll be the next episode or we're going to be waiting a few episodes to bring him in. I still don't really know what that's going to look like. There's going to be clearly some kind of devolution. My big thing is I want to know why that first scene happened. Like, I need that to be justified later on in the season by plot, you know, and I want to see more of Matt's guilt around losing Foggy and like the things that has done to him. But at the moment, he's kind of doing too well, and I kind of need him to be more of a mess. Matt,
you want to see him broken down in a shower?
Yes,
A cold shower specifically.
Matt Murdock is a dumpster child. They literally found him in several dumpsters in the original series. I need more of that energy of him absolutely beat to fuck. The only time Matt showed any real, like, not remorse, but, like, guilt, I guess, over any of his actions is when Foggy found out that he was Daredevil. Like, that whole episode is him just being, like, shamed, essentially, and feeling that is guilt. Again, another excellent episode of television. Please watch the original show.
Yeah, Tom. Get your life together.
I would even forgive you if you skipped season 2, because there's things in season 2 that piss me the fuck off.
You don't need season 2.
Season 1, season 3, peak television.
All right, so that will do us for the first episode of Watching Now, Daredevil Born Again. That's a big mouthful, but we're going to keep going with it. If you like this, then do us a favor and subscribe to the channel, rate us on podcast platform of your choosing, and join us next week for another episode of Daredevil Born Again. But now, we've got to go away and cry about Foggy Nelson for a bit, apart from Tom, who needs to go and watch why we're crying about Foggy Nelson for a bit.
My last note. I will be in heavy denial about Foggy being dead for the foreseeable. Thank you for understanding. Foggy baby, I'll bring you back, I promise.
Yeah, and we will remind you that you are living in a world of your own for the rest of the season as well.
Thanks.
It's okay. Okay, guys, see you later. Bye! We do have a fourth member of this podcast. It's Lily. You know, I don't know why I'm talking like this. It's sort of like Mickey Mouse, but not quite. I really want to just use that. We have another fourth member of this.
Hi, Couch Soup. Did you know that I also do a podcast with Lily? It's called To All the Films We Judged Before. You can find us on YouTube and also on the podcast platform if you're choosing.
It'd be really funny if one of these, like every time you finish like a point, be like, and you can hear that again on our podcast, blah blah blah.
That would be hell to edit, but also it would be quite funny for the outtake. You know, it'd be really funny.
You just start cutting me off.